What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bff Show. I'm Franco.
And I'm Brendan.
And today we want to start out on a little bit of a different note. Instead of launching directly into our nonsense and the rest of the show, we want to take a minute and just send condolences to the Hoffman family, including Alex, Abby, and Spencer, and just offer a moment of silence and recognition for Rich Hoffman, who passed away, who's an amazing man, very decorated military career, very prominent, very important on the Naval Graduate School campus. I know him from growing up. He was always welcoming me into his home, and he's just an amazing guy. So I think we'll just take a second and send our good thoughts and feelings their direction, and then we'll start with the show. All right, Brendan, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Franco. Well said, and our condolences. Let's talk a little bit, maybe before we get into the stories, because for you and I, this is a big weekend, Franco. We are going to talk Wrestlemania. I tried to do my best Vince McMahon voice for you. Wrestlemania. It is this weekend. It is Sunday. It is count 'em down, not a 3-hour show, not a 5-hour show, not a 6-hour show. It's a 7-hour show, kids. So strap in, buckle down, cancel your plans. If you're like me on the West Coast, don't plan anything for Sunday because it starts at 2 p.m. and means you have your entire day scheduled, much to the chagrin of those who love you, like your wife. But we're going to do it anyway. It's going to be fun. But before we get into that, Franco, I figured since the majority of our time, we got to break down this card, a ton of matches. But we do have some NFL news that we should get to. The Patriots, New England Patriots, and the Los Angeles Rams engaged in a bit of a trade. So the Patriots are sending the wide receiver Brandon Cooks, who they acquired last year through trade from the Saints. They're sending Brandon Cooks along with a 4th-round pick to the LA Rams for the 23rd overall pick, the Rams' first round of the 2018 NFL draft, for a 23rd overall pick in the first round of this year's draft, and a 6th-round pick as well. So Franco, huge trade. The Rams were looking for someone that could replace Sammy Watkins. I think they found it, but the Rams have been going all in on this year. So talk to me about your thoughts on this trade and your thoughts on what the Rams have done this offseason.
Yeah, first off, super upset. I hate the Rams. I'm a 49ers fan. More upset because I love Brandon Cooks. He's an amazing player. Always has been. And if I was the Rams and I was choosing between OBJ and Brandon Cooks, I would have chosen Brandon Cooks, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think they win coming out of this. I'm not sure what the Patriots are doing, but whoever knows what they're doing. The good news is they get Malcolm Mitchell back next season, who is a good wide receiver. Is he as good as Cooks? Probably not, but still, they'll be fine. But I like this trade for the Rams. I think they gives them a really great wide receiver who's going to play really well. And it makes sense, I guess, in the world of Belichick that he's trying to stockpile first-round picks.
It is interesting to think about, though, and I think we can have this debate, and a lot of sports talk radio has had this debate. Is this Belichick stocking up, or are they getting ready to move up? And they don't typically move up. They typically move down. This is more classic Belichick. But if you're eyeing somebody in the quarterback realm, this is a good opportunity to grab someone who could be heir apparent to Tom Brady for cheap. And that was the problem they had with Jimmy Garoppolo. They would not be interested at all in paying him a contract to just sit behind Tom Brady. But you can grab a quarterback in the first round if they are willing to trade up, Franco, and then get that guy and have that guy sit under that rookie contract and not be a big burden to their budget.
Yeah, that's definitely a train of thought. I'm willing to sit here right now and tell you the chances that Belichick takes a quarterback in the first round are exactly 0. You heard it here first. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. I think they'll bolster their defense with that pick. They need another cornerback because they left not Malcolm Mitchell, Jesus. You have me all screwed up. I'm all flustered now with this trade for quarterback talk. That's how ridiculous it is. Now, they let Butler walk, so they need to pick up another cornerback. And moving up to that mid part of the first round is a good place to pick one up.
I think that maybe it's more of a fever dream to think that they would try and go all in and make a big splash. That's atypical for them. Classy wine drinking. All right, nice. Is that apple juice or wine?
Say that contributed to my last screw up, but It's possible.
We're gonna have to do a wine
It's been a long
corner.
workday, so just unwinding.
I love it.
And never happy when the Rams improve. So also another reason to kind of unwind.
I'm not judging you, man. I'm just celebrating you. But you brought up a good point. Odell Beckham Jr. is still, and this is and we talked a little bit about sort of about this last week, but Odell Beckham Jr. supposedly on the trade block. No one is safe, according to John Mara, the owner. But I find it really hard to believe that the Giants will actually do this for a variety of reasons. One, when healthy, he makes Eli Manning better. And if the plan is to keep Eli for another year, why not hold on to your star wideout and then maybe see how it goes for the first couple of weeks? Granted, you run the risk of injuring Odell again, but you don't have to trade him right away. And then second, Odell has shown that when he is interested and when he's healthy, he can be one of the best players on the field. So you're giving up a known talent for an unknown in this draft. And unless the crucial point here, Franco, is there has been that video that was out of Odell having a great old time in Paris and Odell's general behavior that the Giants are loath to celebrate and to encourage. That might be really where we get the reason. I think if he is traded, you're going to get a football reason out of it, Franco, but I don't think it's going to be for the football. It's going to be for the personality.
100% it'll be football related in the excuse, but the real reason will be because of who he is. Yeah, that video in Paris is rather damning, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I felt a mum about it, though, so we'll see what happens. I don't think anybody wants Odell. And let me caveat that by saying, at the price the Giants want, and honestly a price they should expect for a top-tier wide receiver, I'm not sure anybody else in the league is willing to pay that amount. And on the flip side, I don't know if Odell's worth the headache that he'll bring.
No, I don't know. I'm trying to think of teams, a dark horse candidate that came out of our previous conversation is what if the Patriots, like they did for Randy Moss, who is disgruntled with the Oakland Raiders, happened to entice the Giants with their 2 first-round picks to take Odell. I don't think Belichick or Brady wants that type of headache right now, because when they grabbed Randy Moss 10 years ago, it made more sense because they were both still running the machine really well. But if you see Brady, granted, he's still at the top of his game, but there is an end goal at some point. There has to be. He can't play on forever, and neither can Belichick. So I don't know if they want to invest in this now like they did back when Moss was around. They also have Gronkowski coming back, Edelman. They have a good core, like you said. Mitchell, too, is coming back. So I don't know. But maybe a team like the Jets, but I don't think they would do it. But the Cowboys are an interesting sort of, this is what makes me think the Cowboys, Franco, is that Jerry Jones has been awfully quiet. And Jerry Jones is typically not quiet. So my thought is, what is Jerry thinking? And maybe he's flying under the radar. And even though it would be in the division, who knows if he's willing to entice the Giants enough to try it. I don't know. Jerry's crazy enough to do it.
Yeah. No. I would love to see it happen. I just don't see the Giants letting that happen. I don't think the Patriots will trade for him. I think the big reason they let Brandon Cooks walk was because he's going to do a contract extension after this year. They went to deal with the renegotiation of that part of it. So I think Odell stays a Giant and is continually a scourge on New York.
All right, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. But that for now, that was our normal sports talk, everybody. I want to warn viewers now, for the next 15 to 20 minutes, it's going to be about professional wrestling, and it's going to be about Wrestlemania. So no harm, no foul if you don't want to be part of this conversation. Feel free to flip it. Amp Premier renewed us. We're very excited. We'll have our new times later at the end of the show to recap, to make sure you know when we're on. But if you're not a fan of the pro wrestling talk, exit. It's fine. We'll come back, see us next week. It's okay. Jump out. But we're going to run down the card now, Franco. We're going to hit every single match, and then maybe talk a little bit about some of the uniqueness of the weekend as it relates to the Louisiana Sports Commission and sort of the restrictions that they've put on some of these matches. But first and foremost, let's get to the title, and we'll start with the championships first, if you're all right with that. Actually, no, let's go backwards, Frank. I'm sorry. Let's save the best.
Don't show the entire cow without giving the milk first.
My fault.
Or don't milk the cow without buying don't milk the cow without buying it first, I
You
guess.
need more wine, and then it'll straighten it out. But we'll start with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. This has essentially become a match where it's just every guy that's in the back is in it. There has been no significant outcome tied to winning this match. In fact, the last three winners, Cesaro, then you had Baron Corbin, and then you had Mojo Rawley. They have not done anything with them post winning this match. I'm indifferent toward this, Franco. It's just kind of nice to see everybody, if that makes sense. But I don't think they're going to do anything with this, and it's sort of just a filler event.
I totally agree, and I think a lot of it's based on the whole WrestleMania bonus idea, and that they want workers to get the bonus. In fact, on SmackDown, I saw Primo Cologne come out, who we have not seen in a really long time. That's who the quality of the bottom half of that Rumble is going to be. So, I mean, it's exciting that they're having a chance to wrestle them, and there'll probably be a couple of good spots. My prediction is I think we see Baron Corbin win.
The only thing that would make this interesting is if they show Bray Wyatt or bring Bray Wyatt back in a new package post Ultimate Deletion from Woken Matt Hardy. If they don't, the only one that kind of makes sense is Matt Hardy, because at least he's got some sort of ongoing story, and he seemed to be interested in procuring the statue on Raw. And again, that's the extent that they've built this, Franco, where it's just these little bits and pieces. So that is the Battle Royale. They are also, for the first time ever, doing the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royale. The only major heat in this is between Sasha Banks and Bayley, where they're actually maybe will turn one of them finally fully heel.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that instead of shoving all the women into like a fatal four-way or an eight-way tag, they're giving them a spot on the pre-card, and they're featuring real main event kind of feuds for the women's side of it. So, I mean, it'll be an interesting match. I think we do see Bayley and Sasha as the last three, with possibly a turn happening where one throws one out. Yeah.
Okay. And then let's move on to the Cruiserweight title, relegated to the kickoff show once again. Alexander versus Ali. Truth be told, Franco, I'm not caught up on 205 Live, so I know that they're trying to do more with the storyline, but at the very least, it seems like from these watching a few of these matches that these participants have been in, it's going to be an entertaining match. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a great match, and I think they've done a great disservice to the division by not featuring it as heavily. We didn't really need a Cena versus Undertaker, whatever that will be. We'll get to that later on. To steal a ton of time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we really needed the Rousey, Triple H, Kurt Angle, Stephanie match, honestly. And if we do get it, I hope it's really short. But I think when you're trying to push a show, a division that has its own show, and then you put on a free show, you're not helping that division at all.
No, and I agree. I totally agree with you. Kind of defeats the purpose of the emphasis on having its own individual show. And I'm excited to watch it because I think these guys are gonna try to tear the house down by themselves single-handedly. I'm just disappointed that since it's the kickoff show, and we've seen this before the last couple of WrestleManias, the crowd's not always there, and they tend to start regardless of how the lines are doing at the entrances. So it could be a similar situation when it was Austin Aries and Neville, where they started it and they both were not happy that they were in the kickoff, and the crowd wasn't very reactive to what they were doing because they were not at capacity yet. Now moving on to the main show, you get the SmackDown tag titles. We have the Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. The Usos are the champions. Franco, your thoughts on this one?
So on my side of the feed, your face is in fact frozen.
Oh, I'm sorry. My side of the feed, I'm rolling.
Oh, you kicked back in. All right, what are we talking about?
I'm sorry. So SmackDown tag titles, the Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. What are your thoughts?
First, big ups to the Usos for finally being on the card. Super excited about it. I think it'll be one of the best matches of the night. I wish they would have thrown in a TLC stipulation or a ladder stipulation. But either way, it's going to be a great match. I think we'll see the Bludgeon Brothers win, unfortunately. I love to see the New Day win, but the New Day are kind of that precipice. If they win another time, they break a record. And the Usos have held for a long time. So I think the only logical choice would be the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going. They're trying to build up the Bludgeon Brothers, the Usos, and the New Day don't need the win. It'd be nice for them to win, but they don't need it. I think if you want to establish new stars in that tag division, you got to at least give somebody some new heat. I think that means the Bludgeon Brothers. Moving over to the Raw side of the house, you have The Bar versus Strowman and TBA. That's not a new wrestler if you've never watched before. It is the storyline going into this one is that Strowman is so strong, he doesn't need anybody, but they're making him get a partner for this match, Franco. And let's take it two ways. One, what are your thoughts in general about this match, and who do you think his partner is going to be?
First, I hate this. I hate
Yeah.
that you look tag team wrestling and you have a team like the Club on the card or on like your roster, and the Revival and all
Yep.
these great teams. And instead of featuring one of them at the biggest show, you do something with Braun Strowman, who's a great worker, but it just reinforces that little planning you have and foresight what to do with them in the main event scene. And by doing so, you're lessening the value of a belt. And it's two belts that are super important because you have a worker in Sheamus, who's been a world title holder, a worker in Cesaro, who's probably your best worker in the company, and you're lessening their value on the roster by doing so. So I hate it. I think it's stupid, and I think if somehow Sheamus wins or Cesaro wins, fantastic. If you don't, then you've just devalued the tag team belts to the point of being ridiculous.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead and respond to that, then we'll talk about the partner.
No, I agree. I think that's where I'm at with this. It's disappointing. The names you mentioned are there. They're sitting there. They're not doing anything. As for the partner, the rumor is that it's probably Big Show, which will be kind of a bummer. He just re-signed a contract. Apparently, he hasn't been used. That might be a bit of a pop for the crowd, but I'm overall not interested. But who do you think the partner is going to be, Franco?
I mean, I think at least the Big Show would give a Strowman win an air of legitimacy and not squash the Bar as much. I'm worried it's going to be Gilbert or James Ellsworth or someone who's going to be ridiculous and unhelpful, and I don't know. I just think it's going to be a waste of the spot in the card, and this is where the Cruiserweight title should have been if you weren't going to give the Bar a real tag to compete with.
U.S. title match is a fatal four-way. Randy Orton, who is the current champion, versus Jinder Mahal, Bobby Roode, and Rusev. What are your thoughts?
Man, well, one, props to Aiden English and Rusev for making basically a joke gimmick that would have been on the lower card and probably in the Battle Royale into a gimmick that's forced them to put him in the title match.
Yep.
I think we see a Rusev win here just because they're going to ride the energy of his push. And Orton doesn't need the title win. Roode is going a different direction, probably down, honestly. And Mahal is starting to turn into a failed project on their part and maybe package the tag team later on. So I think Rusev gets the win, and I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think Rusev gets the win, too. It makes the most sense. Orton could retain. I would be kind of indifferent to that as well. I think you're right. Roode's kind of been a disappointment so far. I mean, they tried to make him a face when he should have been a heel. He had a great gimmick in NXT. It's still fun to sing along to his theme song, but that's all that we've really got now. And you're right, Mahal has been, I think, still has potential. I mean, I didn't mind his championship reign. He was kind of, reminded me of a JBL-esque championship reign he had for so long where he really wasn't winning per se. He just had a good team around him making him win. So it's disappointing to see what they've done with him now, but I think you get a Rusev win for sure. Intercontinental Championship title is a triple threat this year, Franco. We have Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and The Miz. This is actually one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most on the card. I think it's going to be awesome. I think that we have the best three workers on Raw. I don't want to say SmackDown, but on Raw coming together, and they're going to probably want to tear down the house and really make an impression. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is what you call the curtain jerker. This is the one that ends up stealing the show. I think it's a great matchup. I think we'll see some great work. I'm always nervous when Seth Rollins is paired with Finn Balor, if only because they're both so dedicated to their craft, we'll call it that it usually ends with something bad happening to either one of them. I hope we finally see the crowning of Finn Balor as the champion, and I wouldn't mind seeing a Finn Balor heel turn by having the club help him win the title.
Yeah, I'd be all for that too. I mean, that's a great point you bring up. That would be phenomenal. So I'm hoping that it's a Balor win as well. Raw Women's Championship match, Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. This one, Reading a lot online, it's somewhat controversial because they're doing the body shaming gimmick with Nia Jax, which is really kind of not a good way to go, to put it nicely, in 2018. And they really had a story there that it could have just been Alexa Bliss turning on her friend, but they've made it more about who Nia Jax is and sort of tried to play up that emotionally. I think this all culminates in a Nia Jax win. She should get the win and just move on from the story, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope this is a 5-minute squash match.
Yeah.
As much as I like Bliss, I think they failed in the build. And I think they were trying to be progressive and acknowledging that Alexa Bliss was enforcing unrealistic expectations on the body type Nia Jax should be. And in stating that sentence, I've now put more foresight, thought, and depth into what it should have been as opposed to what it actually is. Yeah, I hope Nia Jax wins. I hope this goes away, and I hope Alexa Bliss finds something else to do.
SmackDown Women's title, it's Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. I think this one's going to be good technically. I think this is one of the, will probably end up being more technical than people expect. And I fully expect that Asuka is going to win with the armbar, setting up a Rousey-Asuka match. Maybe at SummerSlam? Who knows? SummerSlam tends to be, I think, where we'll see this lead to, but I see an Asuka win here.
I agree. I'm interested in the match. I'm excited for it. I do think Asuka will win for the very unfortunate eventual feeding of her to Ronda Rousey. The only caveat is that if we see Ronda Rousey fall flat, which I think we very much might, that might not happen, but we'll see. But I do think it's Asuka by armbar to set up the eventual battle of the armbars.
The one thing that could be interesting is whether or not we have a Carmella cash-in at WrestleMania to mirror the Seth Rollins cash-in at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that, Franco. That we have Daniel Bryan returning with Shane McMahon versus Owens and Zayn. The storyline quickly on this one is that Owens and Zayn were fired from WWE. So if Owens and Zayn win the match, they are reinstated on SmackDown. And if they lose, they are fired permanently.
Yeah. Again, another match that I think shouldn't be taking time away from actual divisions. As much as I love Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they could have been used somewhere else, I think, in a better capacity. I'm excited about Bryan coming back. I'm worried about Bryan coming back.
Me too.
On one hand, I think this ends with the Shane turn to benefit Owens and Zayn, and then I think we'll see maybe a Corporation 2.0 with Owens, Zayn, and Shane, which I understand now is two different stables I predicted happening. But the trend outside of the WWE right now is to have successful stables. And the big boys do really copy and steal things from the lower ranks, so it's not out of the question.
Now we have Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. I think this is a very short match. I think it ends very quickly with a Rousey armbar to Steph to tap out. I hope it's not longer than 7 minutes, Franco, and I'm including posturing in and outside of the ring in that.
So the entrances alone will be over 10 minutes, just letting you know now. The match itself should be short, and I'm not saying anybody's a bad worker per se, just Rousey I don't think is ready for WrestleMania to be the main stage. And we kind of saw Angle with his joining of S.H.I.E.L.D. a while back, how bad his body's broken down.
Yeah.
I'm just not interested. This might be like the bathroom break match for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. The entrances are going to take forever. And I think in general, okay, we're just moving along on the Rousey train. I think you're right, though. This has high risk, high reward. If she comes out looking awesome, then WWE, great job. If she comes out looking really bad, they got a lot of work to do to repackage that. We have the WWE title match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles. I think this is also going to be another barn burner match. I think that these guys, I hope they get the full ability to just go ballistic in the ring and go all out. I think they will, and I think that this is my hope that Nakamura wins.
I love this match. I love the idea of it. I hope it's almost like and this is an age reference, but speaking of Angle, the Angle Eddie Guerrero match.
Yeah.
Like back in the day. Such a great match. They gave some time. It wasn't the main event, but it sold the show. I think that's what I'm looking for here. So I think I'm looking forward to this one the most, I think.
I'm hoping for an Angle Shawn Michaels style match for WrestleMania 21. That was an awesome match too, where again they didn't really have any title associated with it, but It was a really good story and great workers. So I'm excited about that, which leads us to probably the main event, Universal title, champion Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. And no, you're not hallucinating. We've seen this before, and you're seeing it again. My prediction is that it's going to be Reigns that's going to be the winner.
Yeah, I was going to say, before you get to it, you're missing the match that's not been announced. But
I was going to circle back to that one.
All right. We'll round the wagons in a second,
yeah.
Jax. But yeah, I wish I cared more about the Reigns versus Lesnar match. I don't. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
We'll probably see it again, and it'll be even less interesting. Things we do know, there will be suplexes. There will be at least 4 Superman punches.
I'm going up 6 Superman punches.
All right. 6 Superman punches. There will be a drive-by drop kick. And then Reigns will kick out of the F5, becoming one of the first people ever in the history to do so, which is a waste of a gimmick, but whatever. And then Reigns will win because that's what Vince wants, and that's where we're at. And
then circling back, what you just mentioned, John Cena versus Undertaker. Not official yet, but John Cena's been waging a one-man promotion, trying to entice the Undertaker to come back. No show yet, not even on SmackDown. And now John Cena says, I'm attending as a fan. We all know this is going to happen. The only interesting thing is that what Undertaker do we get? And there's a lot of chatter and expectation for the American Badass version of Undertaker to come out because Kid Rock is being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He sang the theme song for the Undertaker during that time period. I think it makes sense. Undertaker retired as the spooky Undertaker last year. I think we get the American BA, Franco.
I think we get the American Badass, but I don't think we see it in the match. I think we'll see Cena come out, do his Cena thing, the edgy thing, which got worn out, honestly, because it's the 4th time they've done it. And I think what was it? The Powerbomb from Hell? Or The Last Ride.
The Last Ride.
I think Cena gets Last Rided through a table, and then everybody goes home happy. And that's what we see.
So I think the card in general, to me, Franco, looks really good. I'm excited for this WrestleMania. I wasn't as excited last year, but I'm actually excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm pumped to watch it. We'll have the live review next week. And it looks good.
And do you want to go through our new times real quick in the last seconds we've got?
Sure. So AMP Premiere has bumped us to prime time. So our new hours are as follows. Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Thursday at 11 a.m. That would be tomorrow after we tape this, actually. Thursday at 7 p.m., which will usually be the debut time for the episode.
Nice.
Friday at 7 p.m. And then Saturday, double feature.
Yeah.
7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m.
Awesome.
So just in case you see us once and you want it again, twice as nice, we're there again.
Boom. And just like that, Franco, we are out of time. What we learned today is that we're pumped for WrestleMania. So for the BFF show, my name is Brendan.
I'm Franco.
See you later. All right, we'll keep going. Next take. Ready?